Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes. I'm Sampy.
I'm Christy.
Let's talk about Married at First Sight. We are back for another action-packed episode here. Christy, wow, we are starting with day 8 of marriage. What a long nuptial for these couples so far.
It seems like it should be more than 8 days.
I know it's been like 100 years of our lives.
I mean, this is episode 7, day 8 of marriage, so basically a day per episode.
Well, you know, we have 5 couples. There's a lot going on. This is an interesting episode to me. I've as somebody new to the Married at First Sight franchise, I've never experienced the Pastor Cal couple visits before. You know, this is all new and exciting for me. So
yeah, it was a good episode.
Anything general you want to talk about before we put these couples under our hot takes microscope here?
Nope.
No? All right. Well, who should we start with?
I don't think it matters too much. We can just start with Krysten and Mitch, I guess.
Oh boy. Okay. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I feel like last week I wasn't quite as hard on Mitch as I had been, but then this episode, man, he would have had me running for the hills.
I totally
what we saw.
I totally agree with that. And I may be crazy for this, but I'm still cautiously optimistic about their relationship, despite this episode. And I know I may be insane here because let's get into it. I mean, first of all, Mitch, I think he's struggling. He's trying to give into the feelings of the relationship. You know, he's like, I don't know, we just opened with him feeling very uncomfortable about wearing that hubby shirt, which I don't totally understand his thing, but you know, he's trying. We're cute. Screw it is his response there. But oh man. Oh, we jump right off the deep end right after that, because and let me know if this is, I think this is probably the standard. So whenever the couples come back from the honeymoon, and this is, I'm asking in a Married at First Sight context, they always move into a neutral third party sort of location rather than moving into one of the people's places before decision day. In
recent seasons, yes. They used to, I think, move into one of the actual person's houses or apartments, but now Married at First Sight provides them with a neutral spot.
I wonder if that is in response to the plummeting success rates, and so they want to keep the decision day splits easier, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to do that, but yeah, they always nowadays move into a nice apartment.
Right. So that means that we have to then visit all these people's previous accommodations. Yes. to fetch important things to them and whatnot. So tell me about Mitch's apartment.
This might have been the grossest thing I've ever seen on this show. Like, and there's been some stuff in the past, but wow, his apartment was so dirty. I honestly couldn't believe it. Like, his shower was just like, had like pieces of stuff in it. It was so dirty.
Yeah, so essentially, I guess, I don't know if necessarily apartment. Well, I don't know. It seemed like sort of a beachfront little. It wasn't. I don't think it was quite an efficiency, because it seemed like there were maybe 2 bedrooms, or was that just a garage?
I don't even know. It was so cramped with like surfboards and bikes and stuff.
Well, he only had 1 bike. Let's be fair to him. However, he did have like 4 surfboards. He had a couple stand-up paddle boards, right? A pull-up thing. What is it? I think it's called like TRX. It's like this resistance band system.
It looked exactly like you would think Mitch's apartment would look.
Well, see, I might disagree with you there because I was hoping for a little bit more because he is 41. I mean, it was bad. He claimed that the tub and shower was that way because he had been watering his plants in there.
That's no excuse.
But
that was several levels of dirt. Like even the soap dish, which they zoomed in on, that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in like a year.
Right. And yeah, being like living at the beach isn't a great excuse for that because it looked like there was some serious mold in there, not just not dirt. It was bad. Not only the kitchen, yeah, the whole kitchen. The fridge had like food splashed everywhere. The stove. Tell me about the stove.
The stove. Someone on Twitter said it looked like it was a roach infested stove. Like it was like I've never seen anything like that.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, it was the sort of thing that because you also pan the camera into and again, I don't remember if it was a spare room or like an attached garage type thing, but just completely full of clutter. It was like a hoarder's episode.
I know. It was, I don't know how you live in an environment like that. Like, I don't even know how Krysten walked around. She did say that was probably going to be the last time she visited there.
Well, yeah, she said, yeah, I was never going back there, which it's a little sad and unfortunate.
And he's, like you said, he's 41 years old. How do you not know how to clean?
I think a lot of guys just sort of end up growing up without that knowledge. Because a lot of the time, their moms or their sisters will do stuff like that, like actually cleaning, and so they're just like, oh, I don't need to do this, and don't really internalize that, and then kind of, especially if they live on their own, become blind to a lot of that stuff, and so it's just like, next thing you know, it's 2 years later. And, like, the shower has never been cleaned since he moved in there. And it's just everything is beyond terrifying and gross.
So nasty.
But, yeah, it adds a layer of grossness that he is 41. And this is the state. I mean, that stove was pretty bad. I mean, points to him for having cast iron. But mega, like... Oh, like the brown spots.
Oh, if I were her, I wouldn't want to move into a shared space.
Yeah, he definitely has. Oh, he also he had his wetsuits hanging in the shower, of course. You know, it was a lot.
That's the worst place I've seen on this show.
It really was very terrible, and he's gonna have to up his game quite significantly if he wants this marriage to last. Which, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I do think that as maybe sad as this is, I think that women can have a pretty big influence in the cleanliness level of men. Which again, kind of sad that a lot of guys don't just step up and do that stuff on a normal basis, but oh boy,
yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of shade for that on the internet.
Oh man, people tore him apart, rightfully so.
That apartment was so bad. Well, what about Krysten's place?
I don't remember much about it other than it was very small. It seemed like the bed was like in the doorway practically.
Yeah, it was like a half bedroom apartment.
But the other standout was her dog.
Oh my goodness.
Luna, I think is her name.
Yeah, Luna
has asthma.
The pug. Look, pugs have been overbred for a very, very, very long time, and any normal pug is going to have significant health issues.
Really?
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Oh.
Because they're basically they're bred to be messed up. Like, their faces shouldn't be like that, but they're bred to be like that, and so that's why the dog has asthma, and when it gets excited or stressed, it's like.
It was very noisy.
It's because it can't really breathe properly. Like, that's like it's an actual thing, and there are in fact efforts to roll the breed back to a more natural and healthy state. In fact,
and the dog even has something called a wrinkle.
Well, yeah,
that needs to be cleaned.
It's because a pug's face looks like it got hit by a truck. That's just the reality. And so because the face is smushed into essentially a flat surface, there's like this wrinkle on its face because of that has to be cleaned regularly.
So,
because food and like saliva and everything gets in it. Yeah.
So why do people keep getting these dogs?
Because people are horrible.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to bet every single pug has some sort of serious health issues. Not like I would say probably 100% of them have breathing issues because of the whole face smush thing, but then also other issues as well, which is sad. But yeah, she has a pug, and I don't hold that against her, but she should know better. And what did you think about Mitch's response to this dog?
I mean, he reacted probably like I would have. Like, that breathing is going to take some getting used to. I mean, it's in a quiet room. It's very noticeable.
And they're just sitting there, and they're like, I mean, Mitch was like following the dog around a little bit, doing that to the.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would have a hard time with that.
Yeah, also getting hair everywhere. That's the first thing she did. She was like, so here is, here's the lint roller. If you don't want hair on you, you're going to have to do that a lot. You're going to have to use this lint roller a lot. And then she's like, and I don't expect you to do this, as she's like getting out this packet of wet wipes or something. But I do, like, Luna does need her wrinkle cleaned every day. Oh man, yeah, I think he was a little unsettled, perhaps.
Yeah, well, the dog breathing, I feel like would stress me out if I'm hearing like this, like gasping for air sound all the time.
Well, I don't think it's that bad all the time. Like, it does.
No, she said like when it's stressed.
Yeah, it does get exacerbated by stress and excitement and stuff. But oh man, that'll be interesting to track the dog situation and see how comfortable Mitch gets with that. I also man, Krysten's gift.
Oh, are we skipping ahead?
Well, I mean, I didn't really have much else beyond, like, until that point, beyond just the fact that, like, I don't know. I guess we could talk about their love conversation if you want.
Well, I just made one note from that because he said he hasn't been in love in the mature adult relationship sense. What does that mean?
I think just that he hasn't been in any long-term relationships really as an adult. I mean, I think he said at one point that maybe the longest was like a year and a half or something like that. So I took that to mean that they've always been short. He's always had a commitment issue or commitment issues, and that's really kind of put a damper on his extended love life, though. I have been interested. I also happy to an extent. I'm a little reserved in my happiness because I feel like at some level it's all going to come crashing down. But it does seem like Krysten is legitimately happy with how things are progressing. Like she
happier than I would be.
Yeah, just she does seem to be kind of like digging the domestic life and the, you know, making dinner and the taking it a day at a time. So
yeah, but then like you said, she gave him a gift,
which she of course had to mention. I put this gift in this mason jar, but don't worry, I bought it used.
Man, that would get old for me so fast. That it had love notes in it, and one of them was a free bubble bath with an expiration date of tonight. So
hubba.
So he did not want to pass that up, and she also said if things go well, she's ready to take things to the next level.
To the next level. Dun, dun, dun.
We all know what that means.
There also was one that I can only imagine had unspeakable things on it, because he read one that didn't expire at all. It was like a back rub or something like that.
Yeah.
Then he took a second one and was like, and put it aside. And then he drew a third one, and that was the bubble bath that was expiring that night. Oh, boy.
Also, we learned that before that, Mitch had given her a gift. We learned this on After Party. It was some necklace that he had found.
Somewhere.
How romantic.
Yes, we did see a little clip of that was cut from the show, where she was like, oh, wow, like, did you find this? He's like, I don't know where I got that.
That's so strange.
He probably found it on the beach or something.
We also learned, Keisha asked, like, how was it, the consummating? And she, like, stammers a lot. And then she's like, well, there's time to work on things to be a little longer.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So,
look,
there's room for improvement.
Look, in my opinion, sex is a journey. It's not a destination, okay? There are things to practice and learn and all this different stuff. But also, look, he's a little bit on the old side.
He's also, remember we learned, like, the whole, like, celibate for a while?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
He's out of practice.
He is out of practice, but also old.
He's only 41.
Look. Yes, that's not too old, but it could have some effects. I mean, it probably, like, he seems like he's in good shape, so his age would probably have minimal effects on things, but still, did you like her gift to him, like that?
The notes in the jar.
Yeah, just like that. It just seemed like that was an effort to communicate with him in a way. I don't know how you felt about that, as like, oh, here's how I'm gonna communicate this to you. That, like,
yeah, I mean, it seemed to work. Part of me wondered if it was just a ruse for them to consummate, but it seemed like a nice gesture.
Well, even if it was a ruse, it did appear to be fully consensual.
Mm-hmm.
As far as ruses go. So then they have Pastor Cal visit. Though, before we get, I just was reminded of, so the two of them are in the bathroom. They're, of course, wearing towels because we don't want to see any erections or anything. And they're like, shut the door, and that freaking pug is just outside, like, what's happening in there? What a weird dog. But yes, Pastor Cal, talk to me about how you thought this conversation went.
Well, it was, I don't know. It seemed like Krysten is happy with how things are going, but then like they talk about how they haven't made any plans beyond 8 weeks, which is a little concerning. They're just taking it day by day. So I don't really know what to make of that.
Yeah, because as he said and as she said, I'm talking about he being Pastor Cal, she does want a lifelong relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that this is something that they really have to work on, because I've been a little skeptical of these experts. I haven't really seen much of them, and I'm a skeptical, cynical person, but I did appreciate his comments here, because he was talking about how, like, Mitch has always throughout this process been like, oh my goodness, don't pressure me. If I feel pressured, I don't want to feel pressured. No, don't pressure me. And that's like been his sort of headspace and narrative this entire time of like, and so she's been trying to walk that knife's edge of like, well, I don't want to make him feel pressured, but like I want things to move forward. And even like that's the whole conversation they had and what he said at the end of their honeymoon, where it's like, well, so like don't hesitate to call me out, but like also don't make me feel pressured. And so what I liked was Pastor Cal talking about like you basically like you're putting this pressure on yourself. Like if you're in a relationship, these things are part of being married and part of being in a relationship. They aren't this thing creating pressure. They're just part of the process. I mean, he literally said, "Act like you're married," which I thought was very apt and actually good advice, because yeah, they haven't had these longer term conversations, and as older people, like that is something they need to talk about, and that shouldn't be viewed as, oh, we can't talk about how we feel about having kids because that's going to cause pressure, or oh, we can't talk about finances, or we can't talk about this because it'll create pressure. Act like you're married. I thought that was great. I also was cracking up when Pastor Cal was asking them about if they had discussed finances, and they're like, no. And Mitch is like, I know that she makes more than me, and he tells them to whisper in each other's ears how much they make, and so he whispers in Krysten's ear, and she's like, yeah, like that's fine, and then she whispers in his ear, and he's like, I know she makes twice as much as me. Oh man, I mean, it wasn't really turntables, but yeah, which he says he's not intimidated by.
No, he shouldn't be.
No, he's probably happy.
It's like good for her.
And good for him.
I really want to know how much he makes.
I know, because that's the thing is, I mean, he can't make that little, right? If he's living in the San Diego-ish area.
Yeah, but look at his apartment, though.
But that's probably the type of place he wants to live. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, Mitch is trying to feel and trying to avoid feeling pressured, and he needs to
He looks scared
he needs
of
to
falling in love.
Yeah. I think he's just been in his head too much, and that's not helpful. Not in a process like this. Not in marriage. I think he needs to just be like, screw it. I'm going to make a choice here. And I know that we've talked about that a lot on this show, about making choices, whether it's making choices to love someone or just making choices in general. And I honestly think that this is a choice that he has to make. That he has to choose to change his perspective and view all this stuff that's happening not as all of this intense pressure just crushing down on him, and instead good things to, like, these are good things to talk about. Like, what does our life look like as people who are trying to forge a life together? What do our finances look like? What do we want to do, or at least try to do, in terms of children? Like, how does life look? I don't know. He needs to make that decision, but that's my personal opinion.
We also learned one other little tidbit from After Party.
Give me those tidbits.
Krysten said that when they go to the grocery store, they have to go to his special grocery store. So I don't know if it's like some environmentally conscious store.
It's like Whole Foods on steroids.
Maybe. They can't use plastic bags to get fruits and veggies, so they put them in his fanny pack as they're walking through the store. And then they put them straight on the conveyor belt, like the bare fruits and veggies, so then you gotta, like, wash them.
I mean, you should be washing fruits and vegetables regardless.
I know.
Let's be honest. Like, the amount of awfulness that something is going to pick up on the conveyor belt is probably not as bad as all of the awfulness that it's picked up in transport and in growing. But
yeah, I mean, I know they spray the conveyor belt with, like, chemicals, so it's probably not great to stick your bare fruits and veggies on that.
They spray the fruits and veggies with chemicals too. What you gonna do? But it's interesting that you bring that up, because I feel like that's sort of illustrating a larger point, and not just for Mitch, but we keep seeing people go for too much of a good thing. Like, Mitch seems like he is trying to do too much of a good thing with, and, like, I don't know how his work is, and, like, it's probably good and valuable, but, like, his own life, the extent he goes through and the hoops that he jumps through end up causing more pain and suffering to himself and other people with those things, versus, like, take for example, okay, yeah, I don't want to just be using all these plastic bags for my fruits and vegetables. Let me just get several canvas bags that I can use for basically eternity, and have that with me, and put my fruits and vegetables in that, and throw them in that on the conveyor belt. Like, that's what I'm saying is it seems like you got to be smart about this stuff. You got to have a good level of involvement and, like, stick to your principles and everything, but go about it in a way that actually makes sense. And I feel the same way about Ben, honestly. Like, well, let's just talk about them now, okay? Like, Ben unplugs everything in his apartment.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't deal with this either. Everything, after 4 p.m., there's like he said it would save $2 if he did laundry earlier in the day.
Well, yeah, so what he's saying is, I mean, electric companies, and I think it's something like between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. or something like that. It may differ depending on the electric company, but they charge a little bit extra for electricity during that time, per megawatt or whatever it is. because more people are using electricity during that time, I guess, and whatever. Like, I don't know the total rationale for it, but yeah, that's just the reality. So that's the peak time. So he likes to keep everything electrical unplugged. So if he's not using the TV is unplugged. If he's not using this, it's unplugged. San Diego, the sun doesn't go down till like 6:30, so we don't want to turn lights on before 6:30.
Like, how much electricity is the air fryer using when it's not in use? That he got to unplug it.
Not much. I mean, I would argue for things like that, it would be more of a potential safety concern versus using electricity with
an air fryer, yes, but like the TV, who wants to have to reach behind with all that massive cords and unplug that every day? Why
you set things up so you can unplug it easily. That's what I'm saying is it doesn't totally make sense to me. I think it's probably a pretty insignificant amount of electricity that you save doing that.
There are other ways to save money, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is what I'm talking about of too much of a good thing, and obviously people can determine their own tolerances, and it's up until now it's only been inconveniencing himself. Now it's inconveniencing Morgan, and so they're gonna have to figure that out or say no on decision day.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I don't think that in general electric devices draw that much power when they're off but still plugged in. But it is some amount of electricity. I mean, she was wanting to bring along her espresso machine.
Yeah, he asked how many watts that
had.
He
was like, oh no, but look at this thing. Like, how many watts is this? He's like, oh, this is 3 wires in this. I mean, it probably does use a decent amount of electricity. I'm sure it is hefty enough that it requires the third prong on the plug for that. But yeah, still a little excessive, perhaps.
Also, he was real concerned with her cat's peeing schedule. What was that?
Well, he was worried that the cat would just be peeing on things randomly, which is not an entirely unfounded fear. I mean, cats can be very well trained and exclusively go in the litter box, but sometimes you can have it happen where they do go a little bit rogue.
I mean, accidents happen, but the scheduling of it was the weird part for me.
I guess I didn't find that as weird. I think he at that point he was more joking, talking about like if their schedules were going to be synced up. Like I think he was seeing that she was getting kind of irritated by him asking so many questions about if it was going to pee on his stuff that he tried to go into a more comedic direction. That was how I read it.
It didn't quite land for me, but
well, he was trying to dig himself out of a hole. But before we go too much further, I forgot to ask you, yes or no on Mitch and Krysten for decision day.
I just feel like no.
I'm gonna say yes for now.
I mean, I could be projecting because there's no way I would say yes, but
look, I think with a little bit of a changed perspective and some rehabilitation and some cleaning training that they could survive. So I will say yes for now. It's a tentative yes, but I'm gonna stay with yes for now. So back to Morgan and Ben. Walk me through Pastor Cal's visit a little bit here.
Well, they have to recount all of the nurse drama about the whole bachelor's nursing job, one class left. And Ben has basically realized he needs to learn to talk things over with her first instead of blabbing to other people. And so Pastor Cal kind of like dug a little deeper as to like why that messed with her so much, and she talked about her dad breaking her trust over and over and over as a kid, so now she can't trust other people. But I thought Pastor Cal had good advice for her about how, like, she's the one who put the wall up and she's the one who has to, like, take it down.
Right. I believe he was basically like, so who controls that wall? And you're like, me. And who can take down that wall? Me. which is very true. And that's, I don't know. I'm not super, like, I'm empathetic towards her from the perspective that going through what she went through with her dad must have been incredibly difficult and incredibly just traumatic to go through, right? But at the same time, you can't, how to say this, but essentially, and I know it can be tough to do this even from personal experience. That's right, I'm in therapy myself. But one thing that I've learned is you can't start off a relationship with somebody new, and I'm not even talking about like a marriage relationship. Like, you can't start off a relationship at the same point as your other relationships, and in this case, in the relationships that have been deeply traumatic for you. Like, you can't just be like, oh, this is a new person in my life. Well, you are probably awful and are going to destroy me. And so I have to, like,
put a guard up.
I have to put a guard up, and I have to keep you, like, you have to start from the beginning. And
as if they haven't messed up. She's treating him like he messed up, like her dad had messed her up.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of like she's going from and treating what happened from the view that, like, oh, you and I have the history that my dad and I have. And that's just not true. Like, you can't attribute whatever motivation or flaws or whatever it is that caused her dad to act in that way. You can't just copy and paste that onto Ben. However, kind of ill-advised and maybe immature just going to Justin was in that moment, you can't just put that on him. And so that's why I've been maybe feeling a little bit uncharitable towards her, because, like, it was a crappy thing to do. And I think that Pastor Cal was also right when he was talking about, basically just talking about like all married guys have to learn, you actually, like, you now have another person in your life that you have to, like, this is your person, and you have to, it's a mental change for you, and that's something that you're going to have to learn. But at the same time, and I mentioned this when this happened, but it's like she is essentially treating him like he cheated on her, like she caught him cheating, and he has to, like, jump through all these hoops to get back in her good graces, when, like, she also wasn't 100% without fault. Like, it does seem like she did actually lie to him about the degree, however insignificant that was. And so she was kind of going around telling everybody, like, like, he did this awful thing, he betrayed me, he broke my trust, he did all of this, and it's like, girl, he was an idiot and went and talked to another guy and vented instead of bringing up how he felt to you directly. And he shouldn't have done that because you asked him not to. End of story.
Yeah, it wasn't to me as big of a deal as it was to her.
And so, I mean, he has apologized repeatedly.
Yeah.
Profusely, and in my opinion, from what I can see, seems incredibly genuine about that.
Yeah, and Pastor Kel also mentioned that, like, the whole them not being intimate is linked to her with the wall up. And so...
Right, absolutely.
That needs to change as well in order for them to move forward. Which did lead to this very funny little thing about Ben trying to comfort her.
But yeah, he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I can," because he was asking them like if they would be comfortable snuggling, and she was like, "Yeah, I guess that could be helpful, I guess." And he's like, "Oh, I got you," and he's like smacking her back.
So Pastor Kyle's like, "Wait, what are you doing?" So Ben said he's going to YouTube affection.
Oh man, he's like, "What are you doing, man? Talk to your wife." This couple is gonna have a long road ahead of them.
I think so too.
If they want to survive.
I feel like they could make it though.
Yeah.
If Ben eases up on his frugalness, which extended to the outfit he was wearing on After Party. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
That he was wearing a suit that I guess he and Nate both got suits for it or whatever. And Keisha asked, like, how much did that suit cost? And he's like, well, I'm going to return this. And then Nate's like, you can't return that. The tags are cut off.
See, that was his mistake. You can't. You got to leave the tags on.
Tuck them in so no one sees them.
Mm-hmm. This is the tangent, but I actually know somebody who did that, who needed to have a bunch of wacky clothes for a clown performance at drama school. And so she went to a department store and got a bunch of stuff, wore it for the performance, and then returned it. Left all the tags on. I don't
terrible.
I don't condone that behavior, but it is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I go back and forth about their chances for survival. I feel like at this point, Morgan's reluctance to kind of let him in emotionally and to let her guard down and treat him sort of as a new person in her life with a fresh slate, I think that is going to perhaps have a bigger impact on them going forward than his frugality. You know, because I think that as deeply ingrained as it is, I think that, and I may eat my words here, but I think that he may move from that a little bit.
The frugality?
Not becoming less frugal, but perhaps manifesting it in ways that aren't quite as annoying.
I would hope so. It just, with the whole, like, time of day with the appliances, that seems like a cemented thing for him.
Well, it has been to this point. I just want to go back to my previous point about women making men better.
Well, we can hope.
Just that, like, I guess I would put it this way. Like, he has been a single guy up to this point, and so all that he does affects him. And so it doesn't matter very much for him to do these things, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm whatever, like I'm done watching TV, I'll unplug it, or yeah, like I'm gonna be out and about, or like it doesn't matter so much that I don't turn the lights on until 6:30, you know, like all these different things. But once you add another person into that, I know it's deeply ingrained, but I feel like there might be some shift, you know, once you see how that's affecting somebody else, and how their life is being inconvenienced and etc. by that, I think that a sane person would withdraw a little bit and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, so we can afford to run laundry after 4 p.m. occasionally, or like, yeah, the TV really doesn't draw that much electricity when it's plugged in. Let's just leave it plugged in. Like, again, I may be giving him more flexibility than he has. I just think that marriage does change you to a degree. And so if he's a decent guy with some empathy and ability to put himself in her shoes a bit, I think he does walk that back a bit. Just my opinion. So I'm gonna give them a no for now. Despite everything that I just said, I'm going to give them a no for now because I think that her walls are a major obstacle. How about you?
I was thinking yes for now. But
oh, wow, we're splitting right down the middle here today. That's just how it goes sometimes. Anything else, or can we move on?
We can move on.
Okay. So
should we do Justin and Alexis?
Yes, we should. Boy,
this was a doozy.
This was great.
We had some foreshadowing. I guess they were in one of their places where Justin said, "Yeah, our dogs may not click like us."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she asked him. I forget what she asked him, like if he had any concerns about their relationship or something like that, and he was like, well, like, I don't know, I don't think so, but I don't know, like, our dogs may not, because he has a dog and she has a dog, and she is very attached to her dog.
Yes, her dog is her child. Don't you dare call the dog a dog. I don't understand that mentality.
I don't either. Look, I'm all for having pets. I'm all for loving your pets dearly. It will never not be weird to me when people substitute them for actual children.
Like, they are animals.
And they will die after, like, 10 years or less. It's
that's depressing.
Very strange.
It's just, I just don't understand. Especially, like, when you hear from people who, like, have pets and then like they have an actual child and they're like, wait, no, that is not the same at all.
Wait, you're telling me that an actual child, a human being, is different than a little terrier? What? Unbelievable. Before we get into, because obviously the dogs are going to be the drama here, but man, her closet was chock full.
Yeah, she has a lot of clothes. Justin was a little overwhelmed, I think.
It's like, man, somebody could be in here and attack me. I would have no idea. There's so many clothes. Yeah, she also, and I wasn't super clear on this, so she had all these paintings on her wall. Those were all paintings that she did, it seemed like.
I don't know. Is she an artist?
Well, she's not as her day job. But that doesn't mean you can't be an artist.
Well, yeah, I just didn't know if that was a thing she did.
I thought that's why Justin wanted the painting of the butt. You remember the butt?
Yeah, I think they took that with them.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I didn't catch whether or not she did them or not.
It was like a butt and a boob, I think. It was
like
somebody like turning around. So there's the butt and then the boob. But yeah. Then
they go to Justin's apartment.
Boy.
He has, I don't know where he lives, but he has planes going by like every 3 minutes.
Yeah, apparently. He is directly under a flight path. So I guess he was more city, if that's the case. If he's like right outside the airport. And really the only place where there's any space in his apartment is outside of his apartment.
On the balcony. Yeah. It's very small.
Yeah, she said something to the effect of like, yeah, I couldn't live here. It's like, no, your clothes wouldn't fit in here.
So the incident with the dog happened at the shared apartment, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because she even mentions, like, how are you supposed to introduce dogs?
I love how neither of them did an iota of research about this.
No. I mean, and then at this point, one of them is still on a leash.
Yes,
I think Justin's dog is still on a leash.
Yeah, Justin's dog, Maya, was still on a leash.
But looked angry to me. There was like some growling.
Yeah, there were some bare teeth there once or twice.
And he didn't seem to notice at all. The camera person did. Because the camera person kept the camera on the dog.
Like, close up. Angry dog face. What will happen next? Nobody can tell. Yeah, so his dog was still on the leash, I guess.
I don't think hers was.
No, she let the dog, and that's kind of why then the problem happened, because then her dog ran over past his, and his was like, and kind of
pounced,
attacked it a little bit, and hurt the poor little baby's eyeball.
Yeah, dog's eyes bleeding are like right next to it.
Yeah, it basically just kind of, it seemed like caught the dog's like the corner of its eye with a tooth or something like that. Like it didn't seem like it was an actual bite. It was just like some tooth contact.
It was enough that the dog had to get stitches, though, we learned.
Yeah, but like, again, that could easily be explained by like a tooth and a little bit of a puncture there. But yeah,
it's very rough to watch. Very traumatic.
How did Alexis respond to this?
I mean, I feel like she was understandably upset, even though she shouldn't have taken her dog off the leash, and they should have introduced them properly. But she calls a vet and takes her dog by herself. She doesn't want Justin to come with her.
Which, I don't agree with this decision. Like, I know you're upset. I know that you feel to a certain extent, or probably fully, that this is his fault. But that just seems like another choice to me. Like, you're upset in that moment about everything that happened. But it is a choice to go alone. And I feel like,
I think she just wanted nothing to do with him at that point.
I know, but if we're thinking about in the context of their relationship, their marriage, if it makes it or not, we may end up pointing to this moment as the moment it all fell apart and it all went in the no direction. Both the dog bite in general, but also that decision to withdraw from the relationship. Like, I can't even deal with you. Deal with you. I won't even let you. I'm consciously choosing to not let you support me in this, which is sad to me because, I've been rooting for these guys this whole time. I've been rooting for them, and now it looks like they might not survive. Yeah. I said their marriage is on the brink as she heads to the vet alone. I mean, and I think that I'm right here.
Everything really fell apart here. The next day, her dog has a cone.
Yeah.
And then this whole sequence of Justin taking his dog to get trained, and his dog got dropped off at a very sad, creepy looking dog.
Well, it was a dog kennel. Essentially, it's like you send your dog there for a couple weeks to get training.
But it just looked so bleak. Someone said on Twitter it looked like he was dropping his dog off at Rikers.
Well, they definitely played it. They were like playing sad music and stuff as he was like walking away, and the dog's just like, "Why are you leaving me?" Yeah, they really, the post production really tried to milk that as much as possible. Yeah.
And then he's talking about how he might have to give up the dog if, like, the training doesn't work.
Right. Which
I saw a lot of debate on Twitter about that. Like, how can you give up your pet for your spouse kind of thing? But
I would say 100% give up your pet for your
that's
spouse.
what I thought too. Like, your marriage versus a pet.
Well, and even Krysten said that in the after party when they were talking about it. She's like, yeah, because I don't even know who that host is, but she was asking about how she felt about that, and she's like, well, I really love my Luna, and it's just really hard, but like, she only has like 5 or 7 years left.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was optimistic for a pug, but yeah, in my opinion, definitely marriage over the dog. I mean, I did kind of agree with what she was saying about, like, she being Krysten there at the end, talking about, well, like, rehome the dog with someone you know, maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be dropped off at the pound.
Right, and you don't have to, like, I guess I would say, you don't make any drastic steps before the 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? He's like, okay, Alexis, I want this marriage to work. And he like gives the dog away to some family moving to Maine or something, and they leave with the dog, drive across the country, and then on decision day, Alexis is like, "No, I still don't trust you." He's like, "No, Maya." Yeah, and of course it was still a thing when Pastor Cal visited.
Yes. Alexis is also upset because apparently Justin's dog has been in fights before, and he neglected to tell her that.
Well, allegedly. It didn't seem very clear what she was saying. It was like,
well, there had been incidents before, is what she was saying, with his dog and other dogs.
Right, which can happen. Like, if you're like at a dog park or something, or walking down the street, like, that stuff just can happen. And yeah, it's you want to have a well-trained dog. That seems to be the takeaway here.
Which he hasn't done, it seems like.
Perhaps not. I mean, look, it was a complete breakdown on both their parts. All right, he was saying that he didn't think it was relevant because in the couple instances that she was talking about, like, another dog had been the aggressor, but really, I view them as both being responsible for this situation because it seems like neither of them did any research. They were like, "Oh, this will be fine," and did no research about how to actually introduce dogs properly. She just left her num-nums, I guess the dog's name is Newton, like, off the leash, running around. Neither of them were paying attention, and it was just it would have been more shocking if nothing had gone wrong. Which, man, it's a tough situation. How did you feel, or what did you think about her? Because she is seeing more about this situation. She is seeing more, like, of a pattern or a past with how he handled this.
Yeah, it seems like she doesn't trust him now. Like, this is indicative of a larger problem kind of thing. Which, I don't know if there's other stuff that has happened, but
Right. We haven't really seen a ton. I mean, that's just sort of the joys of having a season with five couples. But yeah, it seemed like she was really... apparently he's been vague about stuff before, or like...
Yeah, I don't know.
She feels like he's omitted information in the past, which is a little weird given that like they've been married for like 10 days at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what else has happened. And I mean, it seems like she's also afraid of the dog, like for herself, because she said mentioned being unsafe. So I mean, she's maybe worried that his dog would bite her as well.
I don't see that. Like, it seemed like a perfectly friendly dog, and there was a little bit of a snap at the other dog. I don't necessarily believe that that's justified. I mean, I guess I can understand being afraid. It seems like she was not, despite how we thought things were going, it seemed like she didn't really trust him before, and she really doesn't trust him now.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the thing about she thought the decision had already been made that he would definitely give the dog up if the training didn't work, but it seems like in his mind it's still up for debate. So that's another, like, red mark for her, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they need to communicate.
Yeah.
They need to communicate. Goodness. When Pastor Cal told Justin, "You feel a lot," because they were going around and he like started crying. He's like, "Oh man, what an apt description." Yeah, this has just become kind of a disaster here. I don't know what happened where he was being vague about things previously, but she did ask him to overshare, even if it were to hurt her feelings. But, you know, because trust and truth are everything.
True.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting that on After Party, Nate was kind of coming for Justin a couple of times. Like, he said, like, Justin should have been paying more attention to his dog's behavior, which I thought was true. And then also, Nate thought it was weird that Justin was crying over Ben in the last episode. So I don't know if Nate likes Justin very much.
No, I don't think that he does. And I don't... Look, the responsibility for the dog situation aside, I get the impression that Justin isn't the, like, image of a macho man type thing that Nate has in his head.
Perhaps.
Of like what he should be. And so I feel like, and let's go to them next because this is a great segue, but I feel like Nate thinks that showing emotion is weakness. Or something along those lines. And so I think it just rubs him the wrong way that he's like, I would never like feel sad about somebody I met 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a little weird, and I think it's a little concerning. So before we move though, yes or no? Decision day. Justin and
I say
Alexis.
no. It's not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good, guys. Hopefully we get proven wrong here, but I'm gonna go with no as well. Nate and Stasha.
So their new apartment only has one sink, which is a bit of a problem because she wants space for all of her stuff, and his stuff will be relegated to the drawer.
Which is, I don't know, that... it's a little bit of entitlement, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not super fair. But
no, it's also, I don't know. It's like, well, I'm more like my stuff is more important than your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would bet she has like a million different products.
Oh, you know it.
Women. Makes no sense to me. I'm like, all I need is a bar of soap, some toothpaste, and a toothbrush.
Yeah, that's the bare minimum.
Hey, it's not the bare minimum, okay? Mitch probably doesn't even use soap.
Ugh. Well, no, we did see soap in the... Remember that crusty soap dish?
Yeah, but he hadn't used that in a decade. Yeah, so I think, in my opinion, Nate's disorganization and habits may be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, he says he doesn't like doing laundry. He leaves a couple of dishes in the sink. Mm-hmm. He lays down in the bed after working out.
I think that was the bigger issue. That's just like a bit... Like, if you legit work out, chances are you're real sweat. Like, if I physically exert myself playing hockey or working out, I'm very sweaty.
Yeah, at least take the clothes off before you get in the bed.
Yeah, or at least, like... And it's kind of counterproductive, but at least, like, take off their workout clothes and put on clean clothes. You're at least, like... There's some barrier. I don't know. That was a little weird to me. He also left the toilet seat up, which he was not a fan of.
No.
I don't know. I view it as this is 2020. Men and women are equal. Men can put toilet seats down. Women can put toilet seats down. It's like, you're really going to go around and sit on something without checking to make sure there's something there first.
You would think. I think it's more so women just don't want to put it down.
Right, I know, but why are you more important?
Because the guy lifted it up, so the guy should put it down.
But again, why? Like, why? What? But that's what I'm saying. Why are you assuming that is like that's how it is? Why are you putting it down when it was up? Why aren't you putting it back up? You know, like.
This will always be a debate, isn't it?
I'm obviously being very facetious here, but it is just funny to me how that is so ingrained. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. Oh, like I sat down in water. Maybe you should make sure there's a plank of wood between you and the ocean then.
Yeah, there's no way I would ever sit down in a toilet without looking at it first.
Right, there could be anything.
I don't think falling in is the problem. I think the problem is I have to put this back down.
I guess I would ask, how hard is that for either party?
That's true.
I say this as somebody who always puts the toilet seat down.
I know.
Oh man, let's talk about this little coffee argument.
Oh yeah, so we go to Stash's apartment, which is huge. That kitchen looked way too big for an apartment.
It's kind of insane to me though. So she buys a $6 coffee every single day.
I mean, a lot of people do that. People go to Starbucks every single day.
That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of money. I mean, his math was off.
Well, he said like $6 a day times whatever.
He was saying $2,400 in a year. Now, I guess maybe he was including tax in that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, he was saying about $2,400 a year because she basically, the whole impetus for this was that she wants to buy a $700 espresso machine. Now,
which he didn't think she should buy.
Right, which also, if they were honest later on, honest and accurate, let her buy a $2,000 espresso machine. Like, how is this an argument?
I did not understand. I feel like he realized as he was going along that my argument doesn't hold up.
Well, right, because he was and look, there's all sorts of calculations involved with these things. You know, presumably a $700 espresso machine would last for several years, so you can depreciate the value if you're, you know, like all these things. But you obviously have to add in ingredients and stuff like that. But yeah, it ended up being this whole lot of nothing. which is
it's really $21.90 if it's $6 a day.
Right, but it's like 50 cents at least in tax.
Yeah, close enough.
It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Because as we find out later, apparently Stasha makes over $400,000 a year.
That $6 coffee is nothing.
No, it's nothing.
400 and what is she like? She has multiple jobs, right? Or multiple streams of income?
Well, she has like a sort of a lifestyle YouTube channel, which isn't that huge.
That's not what's bringing in $415,000.
I don't think she has a Patreon, so I don't know about that. I mean, she does. She's
involved in real estate.
Yeah,
right?
She does like flipping of stuff. So I don't know where she's getting that figure, but if that's accurate, I mean that's a massive amount of money.
I mean, her apartment certainly looked nice, so clearly she can afford stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a problem.
I wonder why someone like her with that kind of status and income would bother to do this show.
I know if she really is that like wealthy, making that much money, I feel like at that point you might as well just like specifically hire a matchmaker. Like hire a matchmaker and have them find you some eligible bachelor who is also
rolling in the dough,
you know, because that's what she keeps saying throughout the episodes, and she reiterated it this episode when Pastor Cal asked them about how they viewed their marriage or how they like wanted it to be, and I guess the goal of their marriage. And Nate was talking about how he wanted it to be for them to be on the same page, them to be a power couple, and she was talking about generational wealth. That's what she wants, is generational wealth. So it's like, just like pay a matchmaker like $50K and have them find you like some prince. Like there are a lot of princes out there.
The other thing I find weird is that when someone asks you like, what do you want your marriage to be, and your first answer is wealth and power couple, king and queen, it seems like your priorities are slightly off kilter.
I mean, perhaps different people have different priorities, but it's just, I mean, it's
just weird that the first thing is like monetary.
Perhaps, though. I guess I would be interested to know her family background. I know her dad isn't in the picture, so like I don't know if she grew up super poor, and so that's like she's trying to like, because she wants kids, or wants a kid at least. So I think that's her way of maybe dealing with some of that stuff, is like, I didn't get this from my parents. I want my future generations to be blessed and set up in a way that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to point out that if her income level is correct, that coffee every day, despite its high price, is like 0.5% of her yearly income. for the whole year, coffee for the entire year, 0.5%.
Yeah.
So, let her buy that espresso machine.
And at that point, Nate probably already knew her salary, so I don't know why he was griping about a $700 machine.
I think it was just a faux thing. Like, he was just kind of being ridiculous. Talk to me about the apartments.
Yeah, hers is huge. She has 7 pillows in her bed, and Nate doesn't want that many.
Well, she had all those pillows, but she also had this like tray of stuff sitting on the bed as well. I
didn't understand what that was for.
It was
like it's like the thing you would see like in a model home.
Well, but that is what people said about her, is that it's like her home isn't lived in.
Yeah, it does look very pristine.
I just don't understand that. It's like, what if you want to have spontaneous sex? It's like, oh, now I have to move the tray of fragile things, and I have to take the pillows off, and I probably have to remove the third decorative duvet because we don't want to get any fluids on it. Like, he's like, what's going on here?
Is it possible this was like one of her properties or something?
What I would suspect is it's the condo that she owns.
So maybe she doesn't live there?
No, that's what I'm saying is I think she lives there at the condo she owns.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is, and so she's probably a smart business person because I couldn't find her LLC, which presumably she has. I just found her private property, which is the condo and then the land that she was talking about building a home. I found those properties. Don't ask me how. It was totally legal, but I will not divulge my secrets. So what I'm saying is I do think she lives there.
Okay. Even though it didn't look like it had been lived in.
Right, which is kind of the point. She is so OCD and anal about cleaning that it becomes a bit much, which is in contrast to Nate's apartment.
Yeah, I mean, I was confused by like all the empty food containers in his pantry. Like, why would you keep multiple empty containers of oatmeal? That was just strange.
I've never done that before. I've never had multiple empty things of oatmeal.
She found so many like empty bottles of cleaning supplies. She was finding trash all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there because it was like it was a very small apartment. It was kind of, I don't know if I'd say luxury, but it was like right in the city, it seemed like.
Yeah, it looked nice.
City skyline and stuff. So I'm not totally sure what the deal was with that, but she was not pleased.
No, and then she was like running her finger along things like, ooh, here's some dust. Ooh, there's a few water spots on the mirror.
You need to chill out, woman, okay?
I know, that was like over the top.
Oh.
Although the wine residue in the wine glasses was a bit weird.
That was very weird.
Why would you put up dirty wine glasses that people have drank back into the cupboard?
Right.
And not wash them?
And it's very strange. He claims that it was from like 6 months ago.
Which is even worse.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know, and I'm a little scared to actually know. So I'm not going to talk about it. So apparently Nate makes $150K a year.
I'd like to see proof of that. From day trading?
Me too, Christy. Me too. No, he has the other job too. I don't remember what it is, but he has the other job as well.
Well, that might be true then.
Right, but he wants to, and don't forget all of the ad revenue from his 300 views per video. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. I just feel like he loses more money day trading than he makes in his real job.
I love how she says it's a workable salary.
Yeah.
I guess compared to her $415,000.
Yeah. Jeez. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh man, if only I had a rich husband. So sad. So sad.
Also, he wants to make $250,000 before he has kids.
Mm-hmm.
What a lofty goal.
Right, and it's also, as Pastor Cal said, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you don't need that much to have a kid.
Right, especially since you're married to a woman.
Exactly. Who makes more than double your income.
Yeah.
Like, what? How much more?
Who's making almost 3 times as much.
I know,
as
415 plus 250. So you guys need over $600,000 to afford one child? Come on.
Yeah, no, I think that is perhaps an artificial boundary because he
doesn't want
kids.
Just keep raising the goalposts.
I know. It's like, oh, I know I hit 250, but I would really be more comfortable if we waited till I had 350K a year in income before we had kids. Yeah, I mean, that's what Pastor Cal said, essentially. It's like, if you had a kid right now, would everything be fine? And he's like, and she's sitting next to him like, yeah, like, obviously. Because he was talking about, it's like, I just wanted to, like, if the kid needs shoes, I want to buy the shoes. If the kid needs this, I want to buy that. And it's like...
He also mentioned inflation.
I know, like...
It's like everybody's dealing with inflation. So...
Oh, my goodness.
Then we also learned they haven't had sex yet. She wants to wait until she's in love.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Do you think we're going to get there?
Well, it seems as though she's equating being in love with him telling her all of his childhood trauma. Like, she can't feel connected unless he spills every detail of his childhood, which I don't understand. This is a very Bachelor thing.
I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what she meant. I think she just in general wants him to be vulnerable emotionally, which isn't an unreasonable thing.
But it seems like it's tied to, well, I don't know, maybe that was just the example she gave, but she kept bringing up, he won't tell me all the details of his childhood.
Yeah, I think she's just frustrated that he kind of stonewalls her a lot in terms of that. Like, if we're talking about the parents example, like, she's like, well, how was that? You say that, like, your mom left you guys. Like, how actually was that for you? And he's like, it's nothing. I don't feel anything. She's a stranger to me.
I mean, I guess it depends on how young he was. He might not even remember much.
I don't know. It's been a concern of mine throughout the season that he has avoided stuff like that. And so I do get her frustration here because it's hard to have a one-sided relationship. You know, it's hard to be in a relationship with somebody who's just like, no, I won't talk to you about that stuff because it's just not relevant. It's kind of weird. And I think that she probably takes that as a sign of like immaturity or emotional immaturity, maybe emotional unavailability. And so she does want that for sure. And I don't blame her for wanting that. I've always been suspicious of him.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Nate and Stasha, yes or no?
I'll say yes.
What the frick?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I'm going to say no. I don't think that he is her caliber. I don't think that he's what she's looking for. Ultimately.
Maybe not.
We'll see, but no. Well, let's get to our last couple because this episode is just so long and it's going to take me forever to render it in After Effects. So, Miguel and Lindy.
Yeah, most of their drama this episode is centered around Decision Day, which is a trigger word for her because he keeps mentioning, well, the 8 weeks thing. Which he says he's not looking for an out, but it sure seems like it every time he brings it up. It's like it's capped at 2 months.
Yeah, she is still super stressed about this. You can tell.
She's the type that already seems to overthink stuff, and this isn't helping.
No, it's not. It's not helping at all. I don't know. There wasn't really anything from her apartment.
No,
she was grossed out about his jar of bacon grease.
Yeah, well, it didn't look super pleasant, but
well, no, and it doesn't. It's just like that is a legitimate like cooking thing.
Yeah, people do that.
Like my mom has a jar of bacon grease. I'm sure it's a little strange to come into. He also just had like a lot of exercise stuff in his apartment. He had like a frame to do pull-ups on. He had like sets of dumbbells. He had a bunch of stuff.
He also had a bunch of D&D books that he showed her.
Yeah, man.
And said, "These are my Bibles."
Yes, which can I just say, she is still super uncomfortable with that. And he just does not seem to care.
She said that's a little too sacrilegious. I feel like there's a little more of the religion left in her than she realizes.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know. I just don't think it's very nice of him to keep
making fun of it.
No, because regardless of what you believe there, it's like you specifically know that this is an irritant for her. Like she's very specifically told you about it. So it's like, so you want to be true to yourself. Like, make those jokes to people who care, like who are like appreciative of that, versus like right to her where it makes her like she was very she laughs about it now, but she's very uncomfortable.
Like, she like winces at it.
Yeah, she's like, like I wish you wouldn't be so freaking sacrilegious. It's like, it's not that hard to come up with an alternate way of describing how important these are to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. And then we had the return of Bear Man.
Oh yeah, he puts on this costume. You know, it's weird that just his whole persona to me doesn't match up with this whole Dungeons and Dragons cosplay. Like, I actually forgot about that aspect of him.
Wait, you mean like hardened atheist?
Well, no, not the atheist thing, just his whole vibe.
Well, he's a complicated person, okay? He likes working out. He likes exercising his brain and writing poetry. He likes dungeons. He's not two-dimensional, okay?
I guess not.
No.
So we have now rebranded Decision Day as Vow Renewal Day.
Oh, that makes it so much better.
It's very optimistic of them.
Yeah, I still think that she is in over her head with somebody who is not entirely committed to the process.
Yep.
So this is my most important takeaway from this whole thing, was when Pastor Cal comes and talks to them, because I don't think Lindy and Miguel are on the same page whatsoever.
I don't even think they're in the same book.
Yep. He's in the Dungeons and Dragons manual. She's in the Bible.
Yeah, literally. Like, this didn't make sense.
Right. Because, I mean, he's still like, oh, I need that feeling of love. And I think she just doesn't know how to express what she needs and wants to him, like in a way that makes sense, because she was sort of couching it as, I need you to not tell me when you're pulling away, because like I feel punished. This made
no sense to me at all.
I think it's in response to what he was talking about, where he stops sort of like, you know, he like needs that feeling of love, and so it feels to her like it's very fickle, which it is very fickle, and so she doesn't see that as sustainable, and so she doesn't want to get hurt by, he's like, oh, I'm not feeling the love today, and so she doesn't want to get hurt by that. But I just don't think that that's like, it's not the right way to frame that thing, because they need to communicate.
Yeah, it was almost like she just like, plug my ears. I don't want to know what's wrong, or I don't want to know that you're upset with me, because then I'll feel bad about my behavior.
Right, which it seems like they're both totally missing here, whereas it's like she needs to know, like, if he's upset, or like she needs to know what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to view love more fully and like be willing to share those things. And because I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that perhaps he does what she's telling him to do, but he does that like on his own. He's like, oh, I'm not really feeling this love thing, and so he pulls back, maybe not intentionally as kind of a punishment, but I think that could come across as that, whereas she's basically telling him to do that. Whereas I think she wants him to view love as more of a stable thing than he views it as.
Yeah, their philosophies are just too different.
Right, which is why I think then she's at, like, she just doesn't want to know, because I think at some level she perhaps thinks or knows that they're really not compatible.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, because he really needs to reevaluate how he views love if he's going to be in a relationship with this woman, because she needs him to be more stable and not this like loosey-goosey, like, oh, today I feel great and in love, and then tomorrow I don't really feel it so much, and so maybe I'll think about leaving. Like, I think that's maybe what she views as, like, she doesn't want to know that.
Yeah, she doesn't want to know the ups and downs of his emotions, seems like.
It's very strange. They're just kind of talking around each other and pretending everything is fine when it really is not at all. Anything else for them?
No, I think that was it.
Yes or no? Vow renewal day. Yes or no?
I want to say no.
I'm going to say no as well. I don't think they have what it takes. Oh, man, Christy, what an action-packed
I know.
episode.
I really enjoyed this episode. There was a lot in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as our listeners can tell with this hour-and-a-half episode. Yeah, there's just a lot to talk about. It doesn't... things don't move quite as quickly or superficially as things do in The Bachelor.
Yeah, it's a very different feel.
Mm-hmm. So much fun. So where do we go from here, Christy? Now that we've gotten to about day 11 of marriage, is it kind of pretty loosey-goosey? Whatever happens between now and decision day is what happens, or are we gonna get more expert visits? Like,
yeah, there'll be more expert visits, more group hangouts. Next week, it looks like they have the traditional family and friends dinner at the apartment.
Okay, so finally they'll get to meet both. Like, both will get to meet both.
Yeah, both sides will be. That's usually how it is. There'll be like the 1 month anniversary celebration thing. There's like certain structured things. There's also the retreat episode. That's always a lot of fun, where all the couples get together in like a house, Airbnb, cabin kind of thing for the weekend.
Oh boy.
Drama happens always.
That's gonna go so well.
There was one year where one girl is just kind of crazy, but she like got so mad that she like flipped over a table, and like there was like a whole like thing that happened.
Wow, so much to look forward to. And I mean, we're about halfway through the season now, aren't we? Episode 7?
Probably about halfway-ish.
Are you expecting like 16 episodes? 18
something,
episodes?
16 sounds about right.
Oh boy.
Well, I don't remember exactly, but somewhere around there.
Well, we'll be here every step of the way. You can count on that. More hot takes and shenanigans coming your way. every week, fresh off the presses. That's right. I've been so fast getting these episodes up lately. It is unbelievable.